I've seen this before, and I'm not saying this by way of prophecy or expectation or even incantation, but more along the lines of resignation towards what a chain of events that I think shall unfold, and it will be interesting to do it a second time. Yeah, I was a dot-commer. I was one of the people that was involved in that boom-bust thing, you know, the endless cycles, the inflation of various forms of equity and expectation, you know, hand in hand, and you know, building people's dreams along the ways. Those dreams then causing us to discard prudence and our better sense of how things should work, and just inflating it further and bringing about an eventual collapse when said bubble does deflate. Burst and then deflate. And I've seen it again now. Now, what am I talking about? Well, I already alluded to the dot-com thing. I think we've seen similar cycles over and over. Every generation sees that type of thing occurring. And whether some are fortunate or misfortunate enough to participate in that, I would consider my experience in the dot-com thing a little of both. It was a great fortune while it lasted, literally and figuratively, and a great misfortune at the end when it was all gone. But it turned out to be a fortune again in terms of, if I dare say, experience and maybe just a tad bit of understanding. And I see it now again. So here to get to the point. Last night I signed the contract with Maker Studios. So I'm going to be a partner with Maker. This is basically a huge modification in terms of how I'm going to be doing things on YouTube with all my channels, and they will be representing my channels on YouTube and helping to guide me, and as I continue to build my presence on YouTube, the channel's presence on YouTube, and my brands, you know, there's various channels, and a whole life. It's a business venture, right? But that, and it all seems good and fine, and I see the value in it, and I see the what appears to be a worthwhile endeavor here. Let's walk past the pachinko parlors and talk. I see all of that stuff. Oh, look at the lights. Whoa, look at the lights there. Wow. I see that stuff, and that's why I chose to sign the contract. That's why I chose to get involved with this. Well, however, what I also see is something familiar that I remember from before. I remember the youthful, wide-eyed wonder, the expectation, the excitement, the anticipation of those that are involved in what they perceive to be a new, brave new world, so to speak, if I can use license with such a term. It's as loaded as it is, but they see that, and it doesn't mean, I'm not saying that they're necessarily wrong, but I suspect that to a degree their expectations will lead them astray. And probably what will happen is that there is indeed a new industry on the verge of blossoming here, and that new industry will be the, whoa, sorry guy, hey, that new industry, whoa, scooter boy, that new well, don't run me over. I'm walking on the side. That new industry will be the merging, the confluence. I'm going to walk through birds here. Let's hear the birds talk as we go by. That new industry will be the bringing together, the convergence of traditional media, television, who knows, maybe even radio, maybe even motion pictures, with online entertainment. That's what this whole studio thing is about. It's about consolidating content creators into basically what they call verticals. They're dynamics of like-minded content creators, like we have here in Japan with the J-Vlog community. With the J-Vlog community, we are a vertical. We came into existence on our own. We instantiated out of the ferment of Japanese camera toting foreigners and Japanese who vlog in English. For the most part, we're an English-speaking community, English vlogging community. We did that on our own, and that is precisely what these channels are about. But they've more of a business element to them, and part of the reason is that here's the crux of the whole thing. Out of all the negotiations I've been having with Maker and leading up to my signing the contract, the one thing that really stuck out that made me decide to sign the contract, because there's a lot of stuff on the contract in this deal that isn't of any much use to me. The stuff about the collaboration. They don't have anybody else in the vertical. I think I'm the only other guy. There's one guy this like outdoor adventure stuff, but he's a hunter. And so I'm really the only guy that does that. So there'll be no one for me to collaborate with. I'm an ocean away. I won't be able to utilize their studios. I won't be able to have much use for their editing, animation, and music library, because I just don't do that stuff. My videos are mostly unedited. So why would I choose to sign away a percentage of my revenue, of my of advertising income away to them? Here was the reason. When they told me that, and they didn't just tell me, I read this elsewhere as well, that big advertising, big advertisers, where the money is for advertising, they're afraid of independent YouTubers. They're afraid of small YouTubers, because we are like wildcats. We are untamed, outside of their control. They have little track record with us. They don't know what they can do, and they don't know that they can trust their advertising dollars with us. What if they do so? What if, for example, North Face decides to sponsor me as a soggy papa, and I go out and I'm hiking around in the woods and saying, "Oh, I'm using North Face gear," looking at the North Face logo and all that kind of stuff, and I kind of go nutso, and I have in the past, and I start spouting off profanity or go neo-Nazi in the woods or something like that. I mean, that's a bad angle. That's not going to be good for a North Face. So they're going to be a little hesitant to do that, and that's what the landscape looks like now. There's lots of people, lots of eyeballs looking at all the YouTube stuff, but there's not a lot of trust from the major advertisers. So that's where the networks come in. The networks basically do the due diligence of locating content creators that they believe that they can trust, and then signing them on, bringing them into the picture, and then utilizing them as vehicles for the advertisers, and then matching the advertisers with the appropriate type of content creator through these various verticals. Whether you've got the Moms Network vertical, the comedy vertical, entertainment type of stuff, or you've got one guy in the outdoor adventure thing. That'll be me. Whatever it is, that's the thing that's going to do it. Now, I'm way off point. I'm back on. I got to slow down because I'm almost at 7-Eleven where I got to stop and get something. But the point of the matter is, why do I think that it's going to be a bubble that's going to burst? The same excitement, the same enthusiasm, the same energy, the same incredible optimism. I mean, I'm seeing tweets from people saying, "Maker Studios, do you need a janitor? Because I'll do it." People just want to be involved, just like it was with the .com era. I remember after it started really taking off, it was the same type of thing. This endless enthusiasm. We will take over the world. This is a new paradigm that is unprecedented. We are beyond the possibility of failure. Nothing's ever been seen like this before, and we all know what happened. The same thing's going to happen with this revolution in the internet. A whole new, just like in the internet came about, and a whole new thing. The .com world changed everything. Likewise, in the next 10 years, entertainment will change. The merger between internet and traditional media will change everything. Google TV will be the first blow across the first shot across the bow, and then it'll all be changed. But after all that followed us through, major companies will have been formed, new studios would have created, new moguls would have been made, new content creators would have been made, new industry would have been created, and in the end, those who were not cautious with their expectation will be left, standing at the end of the day at the side of the road without a penny, like me, after the .com thing. I was a millionaire at one point, and then I ended up with nothing. Because I was foolish. And I see it happening again, but the trick for me will be, can I learn from my mistakes? Can I get through this? Can I navigate a second chance in such a way? I'm not out to be a millionaire. I'm not out to make $1 million or anything. I just want to have a comfortable income for my family, safety for my daughter and my wife, and hopefully a modest retirement for us later on. That's all I care about. I'm not going to take the risks that I took before, but I am going to experience this new industry, this new world that's being created, and participate in it and throw my 2 cents into the mix. But at the same time, just like I saw some of my elders doing when I was a .comer, I remember Alan Pierce. He was my age when I was a .comer, and he would just sit back there on the sidelines, cautiously smiled there, and I knew what he was doing. I know what he did. He took the money. He took the potential that came his way and carefully set it aside. And I was after simply the modest fruits of success, and I will be after the more modest fruits of success. I'm not going for those especially high fruits. The fall is way too hard. thanks everybody for joining me, and it's a brave new world, so to speak, again. Or maybe it's just a new world at 7-Eleven. I don't know. Time to go in and get some stuff. See you later, guys. Everybody, have a great day. Bye-bye. And I see it now again, so here to get to the point. Last night I signed the contract with Maker Studios, so I'm going to be a partner with Maker. This is basically a huge modification in terms of how I'm going to be doing things on YouTube with all my channels, and they will be representing my channels on YouTube and helping to guidance and our better sense of how things should work. And just inflating it further and bringing about an eventual collapse when said bubble does deflate. Burst and then deflate. And I'm seeing it again now. Now what am I talking about? Well, I already alluded to the .com thing, and we've seen similar cycles over and over. Every generation sees that type of thing occurring. I've seen this before, and I'm not saying this by way of prophecy or expectation, or even incantation, but more along the lines of resignation towards what a chain of events that I think shall unfold, and it will be interesting to do it a second time. Yeah, I was a .commer. I was one of the people that was involved in that boom-bust thing, you know, the endless cycles, the inflation of various forms of equity and expectation, you know, hand in hand, and you know, building people's dreams along the ways. Those dreams then causing us to discard pruding. And whether some are fortunate or misfortunate enough to participate in that, I would consider my experience in the .com thing a little of both. It was a great fortune while it lasted, literally and figuratively, and a great misfortune at the end when it was all gone. But it turned out to be a fortune again in terms of, if I dare say, experience and maybe just a tad bit of understanding.